football fam? This is NFL Total Access. I am MJ Acosta-Ruiz, and I hope you have your bags packed because today we're going on a little road trip to New York and Chicago, Nashville, and KC. We'll make stops in San Francisco and in Dallas, but we begin in Tampa by way of Washington, D.C. The Buccaneers made the customary trip to the White House to celebrate their Super Bowl win, where they were greeted by President Biden. Before things get serious, though, when camp opens, head coach Bruce Arians and Tom Brady got to play cool for one more day.
Our players are outstanding. They do what they're supposed to do on and off the field because they take care of each other. We live by 3 words: trust, loyalty, and respect. We don't have any rules. If you have those, you'll have accountability and you'll be able to do anything you want. One team, one cause. I hope the Senate and the House start helping you. One team, one cause.
These guys are an amazing group of men. It didn't look great there. At one point, we were 7-5, struggling a little bit, as the president alluded to. But we found our rhythm. We got on a roll. Not a lot of people, think that we could have won. And in fact, I think about 40% of the people still don't think we won.
I understand that.
Do you understand that, Mr. President?
I understand that.
Yeah.
All right, it's the suit swag for me, actually. The Bucs hoping to end their 2021 season with a trip to the Super Bowl right here in L.A. The Rams hoping to stop them, of course, but their hopes, Mike Garafolo, they just took a hit. What's the latest news on that injury we heard from Rams running back Cam Akers?
Yeah, Cam Akers tearing his Achilles. He will miss the 2021 season. The second-year running back who was expected to have a really big breakout year, came on strong late in the year last year at 171 yards against the Patriots, and then 221 in 2 postseason games for the Rams, but they will now be without him for this upcoming season. Now, a lot of folks speculated, are the Rams going to go sign a veteran? Maybe Todd Gurley, who's still out there, the former Ram. But as Sean McVay said on the radio, and as we reported earlier today on NFL Now, do not expect that. Expect the Rams to try to fill the void with the guys that they have in-house right now. That includes Darrell Henderson, who had over 600 yards last year as he split time with Akers, and also Xavier Jones, an undrafted free agent last year who dressed for much of the season, played on special teams, did not carry the ball once, but a guy that Sean McVay thought so highly of that he kept him on the roster last year despite the fact that he was undrafted, had no preseason tape, wasn't even a scouting combine invite. So that's the sleeper there for the Rams in the backfield as they will try to go forward with the guys that they have right now. Haven't ruled out a veteran signing down the line, but right now the guys in-house, Henderson, Jones leading the way.
All right, Mike Garafolo, we're going to check in with you in just a little bit. Thank you, my friend. By the way, Cam Akers among the top 5 running backs with the most rush yards in that latter part of 2020. So from week 12 going into the playoffs, Akers had 645 rushing yards. All right, let's welcome in my big brothers, Michael Robinson, DeAngelo Hall, with me tonight. Guys, Cam Akers not looking like he's going to play any part of this season. How do you think this injury is going to impact that Rams offense overall, and Rob?
Yeah, MJ, I think it's a huge impact on this Rams offense. When you look at the Rams backfield, I think Cam Akers is the one guy in that backfield, in that running back room, that is a multi-scheme back. He runs zone runs really well, inside, outside zones really well. He can block out, he can block and pick up protections and pass protection. He runs the gap scheme really well, and he has the ability to do what you're seeing right there, go 80, right? He has that explosive speed, and he affects the game in the passing game. Sean McVay's offenses, they've always been legitimate guy in the backfield. And, Run the ball, exactly. So when you look at Matthew Stafford, who's the new arm talent coming to the Los Angeles Rams, I'm not so sure Matthew Stafford has ever had these weapons around him. But I know Sean McVay doesn't want to put Matthew Stafford in a position where he's throwing the ball 40 times a game. That's where he just came from in Detroit. Not so good for Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, and that's the question mark I have too, right? You talk about Matthew Stafford throwing the football to win games in Detroit. The reason we all said, oh my goodness, we love the Rams is because of Cam Akers. That run game that Sean McVay was going to bring to the ball game. That play action pass game that Matthew Stafford can take those shots down the football field with that talented group of receivers. And so now all of that kind of comes into question. And I know you heard Mike Garafolo talk about the guys that they have, but none of those guys are as explosive as a guy like Cam Akers. And so that's going to be the question mark. And I start thinking about some guys that are sitting out there on the free agent market. And, Adrian Peterson is a guy who can run the football hard downhill, but he doesn't he doesn't give you that catch it out the backfield. So then I start looking at Duke Johnson, TJ Yeldon, some of those younger backs, Rob, that still can give you that dynamic of home run hitter, explosive back, and can also help out in that passing game.
Yeah.
D. Hall, to your point, I love Duke Johnson with the Rams, bro. I love Duke Johnson with the Rams. He doesn't get enough credit for his inside runs, but he catches the ball out of the backfield, and he's got something to prove. I'm telling you, Sean McVay and the Rams better look out for that guy.
You know what? I hear you on that. That's a very viable option. But actually, my eyes are still on Darrell Henderson. He actually finished the year with just one less rushing yard than Cam Akers. I think it's a good chance for him to really step up. Hard to duplicate that dynamic essence that Akers brings, though, D. Hall, to your point. All right, guys, thank you. You know it's training camp, and it's just around the corner when the Cowboys get on a plane to Oxnard. The team left Dallas today. They'll open up camp tomorrow here in California. Of course, with the Hard Knocks crew following closely behind. All right, so the Cowboys face the Arizona Cardinals on Friday, August 13th for Week 1 of the NFL preseason. They will also play that Hall of Fame game versus the Steelers on August 5th. You can watch all of these games right here on NFL Network. This is your preview of the preseason Week 1 schedule. All right, M-Rob and D. Hall. Some reps there for the Cowboys as they go into the preseason, but how cautious will the Cowboys be with Dak specifically as he's coming off that ankle injury? D. Hall, start us off here.
Well, you know what, MJ? When you get in practice, they can protect Dak. So they're going to be super cautious when it comes to not having him in a lot of full contact drills or keeping guys from around his legs. But when you get in the game, it's hard to protect you from anything. And so I think they'll go out there, and I think it's going to be a lot of weight on the shoulders of a guy like Ezekiel Elliott, right? He has a lot to prove. Didn't have the best year last year. The O-line should be a little more healthier than they've been in the past. Dak can still make every throw, I believe, down the football field. But unless he's comfortable and confident, you're not going to see the $40 million Dak. And so they got to get him comfortable and confident first and early in the season. And I think you can do that by running the football a little bit with Ezekiel Elliott, taking some of that pressure off of him. And then he can rely on all of those explosive weapons that they put around him on the outside to go out there and make plays for him.
D. Hall, big dog, gas. Put the gas pedal down to the floor, man. Throw the ball. Just get him as comfortable as you possibly can. When this dude is on the field, last year, they were averaging 33 points a game. Without him, 21 points a game. With him, almost 500 yards per game. Without him, 300 yards per game. Dak Prescott is the key to this team. With Dak Prescott on the field this year with a more simpler defense from Dan Quinn, I think this whole team looks better. So for me, if I'm Kellen Moore, if I'm, Mike McCarthy, hey, look, man, I'm getting the ball out of Dak's hands as fast as possible. I'm making sure Dak psychologically feels so comfortable back there that he's going to feel comfortable winning the game with his arm. And you talk about Week 1, them dogs that Tampa Bay got? Come on, man, get the ball out of his hands quick, and let him build that confidence. And I'm telling you, this offense can take this team to another level.
No, guys, I keep thinking back to when we had Dak on the show here just a couple months ago. And even back then, he's like, I'm way ahead of my recovery than anybody thought. So I think his mindset is there. But as you both know, getting back out there, completely different story than when you're training. All right, thank you. Of course, this is the biggest season ever in it starts with training camp. We're back, baby. A whole week of first looks and insider access leading up to the first ever Back Together Saturday, fueled by Gatorade, with a full day of coverage around the league as all 32 teams take the field. Training camp Back Together coverage starts begin July 26th right here on the NFL Network. Back with us now is Mike Garafolo and the saga of the offseason. Of course, you have an update for us on Aaron Rodgers. What's going on, Mike?
Yes, I know there was some talk today about Aaron Rodgers turning down a multi-year extension with the Packers that would turn 3 years into 5 years under contract for him. Really, where's the new in the news? It's not here, because Mike Silver mentioned this in March, Ian Rappaport in April, and the rest of us thereafter. We've talked about how Rodgers has turned down multi-year extensions. Now, look, the devil is in the details, because you could do a multi-year extension with nothing guaranteed beyond the current year. Well, I was told recently that the offer that the Packers presented to Rodgers, at least one of them, did have guarantees beyond 2021, but not enough, whether it was money or guarantees or really the whole package, which is that Rodgers believes that he'll have some input into personnel going forward. Remember, that's still a big part of this. It's not just money and commitment to Aaron Rodgers, but whatever the case, not enough to get the deal done, so the Packers will continue to work at it. The contract will be part of this if there's going to be a solution, and it will include guarantees beyond this upcoming season if Rodgers is eventually going to sign it. So we continue to stay tuned on this one and update you, and we're getting close to decision time for Aaron Rodgers with training camp, that's for sure.
This feels like deja vu. Mike Garafolo, thank you. And still to come on NFL Total Access, they made 3 straight AFC Championship games, and they made back-to-back Super Bowl runs. But if they want to keep those streaks alive, they have to make a major change. I'll tell you what it is. But first, the top 5 storylines to watch in NFL training camps. Important note, this includes 2 kinds of camp battles, those being waged between quarterbacks and those being waged within quarterbacks. NFL Total Access, just getting started.
Jay, starting at number 5. My number 5 storyline is, how long will it be before we see Mac Jones and Justin Fields on the football field? Now, again, when you look out in Chicago, how does the football gods let Ryan Pace and those guys draft another quarterback and keep their job? I don't know, but Justin Fields was regarded as one of the top quarterbacks in college, and he slipped a little bit, so I know he has a lot to prove. Cam Newton's the proven commodity, but Mac Jones was great against the blitz in college. Cam Newton was not too good against the blitz last year, so there's a lot of things that needs to go on in New England. I think if Cam gets benched next year, he won't get back on the field. Number 4, we're going to the Tennessee Titans. They got that big guy on the outside, Julio Jones, right? And they got Derrick Henry. Who's going to be the identity of the offense, right? Ryan Tannehill plays his best, does his best stuff when they're running the football, and he's able to be explosive and play action. Now you have Julio Jones there on the outside too. I just hope that they just don't start throwing the ball all over the place, because this team is defined by its physicality and Derrick Henry. Number 3, okay, all right, Carson Wentz. All right, look. This battle is Carson Wentz against himself. All right, Carson, there is no Nick Foles there. There is no locker room that's divided. You got Frank Wright there. You got an offensive line. You got a capable defense. You play in the AFC South. There is no more excuses for you to lead the league in turnovers like you did last year, okay? So it's about you just getting a little zen, getting a little meditation, getting deep inside that mind of yours and understanding the franchise quarterback that you are. Number 2, come on, flip that video. Number 2. All right, it's now or never for Daniel Jones. To me, this is the do or die season for Daniel Jones. No more excuses, right? They put Kenny Golladay and all these guys around him. Okay, Saquon Barkley's coming back. You signed some guys on defense. He's led the league in turnovers since he's been in the National Football League, and I know all of it hasn't been on him, but as I've said on this airways before, how many times you're just yelling at the TV, Daniel Jones, throw the ball away, throw the ball away, throw the ball away. Then there's a sack, fumble, ball going the other way. Number 1, come on, number one, A-Rod, big dog. What's gonna happen? What's going to happen? To me, this is the biggest storyline going into training camp, because if Aaron Rodgers doesn't show up, okay, the Green Bay Packers, who is probably a playoff team, Super Bowl contender with Aaron Rodgers, turns into nothing with an F. nothing. They don't do nothing, right? So I really think Aaron Rodgers is gonna show up. I think he loves his teammates that much. But at the end of the day, Aaron, bro, you can't be just putting this stuff out here and then showing up and then it's like, well, what you do it for? I actually think that, Aaron, you should just stay away and let the team know that you mean business. How did I do, guys? How did I do? How did I do?
That was great. I want to go back to more some Zen meditation, and we're going to need it, too, as we get ready for our 2021 NFL Network training camp coverage. Look at that. It starts July 26th to the 28th with 3 hours starting at 1 Eastern. Then we double down from July 29th to the 30th. 6 hours of live coverage starting at 10 a.m. Eastern. July 31st, settle in. 13 hours of live coverage, 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern. Come on, we got y'all. All right, we're going to roll off of that number one storyline you were talking about there, Rob. Do you guys think that the Aaron Rodgers drama is going to impact the Packers on the field, D. Hall?
Oh, yeah, MJ. And Rob, dope top 5, bro. Dope top 5. I loved it. Man, I could comment on every single one of those, but yes, Aaron Rodgers, I mean, come on, guy. Like at some point, you know, Rob, I used to defend Aaron Rodgers. When you're that talented, when that gold jacket is just sitting there waiting for you, I don't mind giving this guy a little bit of say in my organization. I don't mind having his input. But when you say, hey, Aaron, I'm going to give you a little bit of that. I'm going to give you a little bit of money, too. But it's still not good enough. At some point, like you said, Rob, what you said in the pregame on the production call, tell us what you said.
What's up? Oh, stop crying wolf. Stop crying wolf, man.
He can't keep crying wolf, man. You either got to poop or get off the toilet, man, and move over. And so you're right. I would love to see Aaron Rodgers not show up. Jordan Love, this is your football team now, Aaron. Can't wait to see where you go next year if they don't work something out this year and get you up out of there. Because you will be a distraction for that football team. There's no way after all of this he can walk in that locker room and guys are just going to say, all right, Aaron, come here, let me hug you. I love you. Wouldn't happen in my locker room. I don't know about yours, Rob.
Totally agree with you, D. Hall. Wouldn't happen in my locker room as well. You talk about throwing the football and being on timing with guys. He got none of that practice with his guys this offseason. So I'm just saying, Packers fans, we got a problem.
Here's the problem. When we talk about the performance, if Aaron Rodgers not there, yes, of course it's going to impact them. There's going to be a decline. Even if Jordan Love goes out there, balls out of his mind, which I think he might. He could. He's still not Aaron Rodgers. It's an unfair comparison. So there's going to be a decline if Rodgers isn't there, period, no matter what. All right. Let's just hope for an end to this. All right. KC's recent rankings in terms of total yards on offense, first in 2018, sixth in 2019, first in 2020. I mean, not a bad run, but not a good sign, though, when you can only muster 3 field goals in the Super Bowl. So a third down percentage, rather, among other things. Our analytics expert, Cynthia Freeland, joins us now for a look through every decimal point of the Kansas City Chiefs. Cynthia, the Chiefs have been ahead of the curve since from an offensive standpoint, that is. But what have they done to be so successful?
Well, while most teams kind of slowly ease into the game with those first 20 scripted plays, the Chiefs throw that out and they literally throw it all over the yard. They're the most horizontally and vertically spread out team from an actual measurement standpoint, which has led to just a ridiculous number of deep touchdown passes, 37 since 2018. That's tied for the most in the NFL. And by the way, 50 touchdown passes outside the numbers over that time span. Those are kind of a proxy for more difficult passes, more spread out passes. That's third in the NFL.
Whew. All right, well, Cynthia, the Chiefs lost their bid for back-to-back Super Bowls, of course, losing to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year. What's one takeaway that they can take from that game and use it in 2021?
Well, it kind of is something they really did do a good job of addressing this offseason, and it's keep that O-line protecting Patrick Mahomes. Now, when Mahomes was under pressure, they were 1-2 last season when he was under pressure on more than 30% of dropbacks. That includes the Super Bowl, which was one of those losses. When it comes to Patrick Mahomes, of course, most quarterbacks, almost every single one, are better when they're not under pressure. But here, it's because of that aggressive play calling style that it really is important that they addressed it. And so they did. That's what they did this offseason.
Well, Sid, I want us to keep in mind here that it is very tough to make it to back-to-back Super Bowls after losing one, that is, in that context. So let's take a look here. The Patriots did it most recently in 2018 when they beat the Rams there after losing to the Eagles the year prior. But the last team before that, well, the 1972 perfect season, Miami Dolphins. All right, let's bring in Michael, Rob, and D. Hall so we can get into a little bit more about the lessons that Kansas City learned in their Super Bowl loss and what they need to do to get back to the big game for a third straight time. Cynthia, why don't you start us off here?
Well, keep Patrick Mahomes clean. That clean pocket is a huge deal. When you look to see his performance when he is not under pressure, I mean, he's just ridiculous. 117.5 passer rating. That's second in the NFL. Only Drew Brees is better. And remember, Drew Brees, they go quicker passes. So Patrick Mahomes with this 117.5, that's on deeper passes too. So that's even more ridiculous. It should be #1 in the NFL if you adjust it for context.
Yeah, guys, for me, it's getting Clyde Edwards-Helaire the ball a little bit more. It's being able to slow the game down when you want to. Now, I know Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, they like to play this, tempo and pushing the ball down the field. They have all this speed on the outside, Travis Kelce in the middle of the field. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he's a guy that does so well in space. I mean, a couple of years ago when he was at LSU, he led all of college football in being able to make people miss. So this guy loves to be in space. So you run the ball a little bit more with him, slow things down. Those pass rushers that are coming after Patrick Mahomes, you just can lean on those guys with that big offensive line and Orlando Brown, who you just got from the Baltimore Ravens. If you can do that and develop a little bit more play action, I think, Cynthia, to your point, it'll just be clean pockets for Patrick Mahomes, and that's definitely scary for all opposing defenses around the National Football League.
Yeah, and you talk about all of those explosive plays and all the points that the Kansas City Chiefs score. It's a lot of pressure on that Chiefs secondary, right? Just think about it. I was able to talk to Tyrann Mathieu this offseason, and he just raved about some of these guys that they have. L'Jarius Sneed, Travarius Ward. These are two guys. One's a fourth-round draft pick, Travarius Ward, free agent that they traded for from Dallas. Think about this. They have now 2 first-rounders that are trying to prove themselves in DeAndre Baker, former Giants first-rounder, and Mike Hughes, former Viking first-round pick in 2018. And these are 2 guys who can play football. You pair them with the guy like Tyrann Mathieu, Juan Thornhill, the rest of the guys in that secondary that I named. Tyrann Mathieu is not just a football player. He's a guy who's been through a lot. And for other players in this league who have been through some things at different places trying to, revive their career, he's a guy that they can turn to and say, hey, I'm following his lead, and they're going to go out there and make some plays.
There you go.
Boom. Listen, there's always a way to get better. But you know why I never worry about the Chiefs? Because at the end of the day, they still have Patrick Mahomes under center, one of the guys who somehow only gets better, just like another GOAT that we know out there. All right, everybody. Thank you. And tomorrow is no ordinary day on NFL Total Access because the dream starts now for the Dallas Cowboys and the Pittsburgh Steelers, who will face each other in the Hall of Fame game on August 5th. And as the first teams to take the field, they're also the first teams to report to camp. The safety for the San Francisco 49ers, friend of the show as well. Tony, thank you for coming through.
Oh, yeah, of course. I wish I could be in the studio, but Zoom do.
Same. Soon, hopefully, we'll be done with all of that. But you took a year, or you were off last year, we should say. We want to get right into it. How's it been feeling to get back in action, back in the field?
Oh, it's been amazing. Just being back in the meeting rooms, being around, the guys. I've been at home, training and all that, and just wanting to get back and move around and put a helmet on. It felt amazing. Just thankful for the opportunity to be able to go to an organization like the San Francisco 49ers, giving me a shot, giving me an opportunity to go showcase my abilities. So I can't wait till training camp.
Hey, Tony, we all can't
that not that long ago were the ones who really steamed the way forward for that team to make that Super Bowl run.
Oh, well, they got some dogs up front. I think anytime you check out that roster and you look at the defensive depth chart and what they've done defensively up front, and that's where it starts, in the trenches. And they got some dogs up there. Linebackers, Greenlaw, Fred Warner, all types of guys that are just sideline to sideline guys who make plays. And then the secondary, who doesn't get talked about enough, I believe, who are going to make a bunch of plays throughout the season. And I'm excited just to be able to put my hand in the pile and, work my tail off and prove myself. I'm so ready. Like I said, it's taken a year off for a guy who's been playing since 4 years old. Words can't really express how excited I am for this opportunity.
Hey, Tony, and I'm sitting over here. I'm so excited for you because I can hear the passion in your voice. I watched you play in Arizona and Baltimore, and now to be a part of this 49ers defense, this 49ers football team. Have you had a chance to really talk to DeMeco Ryans and the new defensive coordinator? And I was going to ask, do you remember him when he played football, when he was an all-pro linebacker in this league? Because that's what you're going to be getting as a defensive coordinator. You're getting a dude who went out there and did what he's going to be asking everybody in that locker room to do for him.
Yeah, I've had the opportunity to talk to him. I've been in contact with the Niners for a little while. And then, just looking at him, he looked like we the same age. But you could tell he's got the aggressive mindset. Like you said, he's all pro. He's been playing, so he knows exactly what he wants out of the defense, and he knows, what scheme he wants to run. He wants to be aggressive. And as a player and as a safety, once you hear a defensive coordinator speak about being aggressive, that all that does is shine lights in the head right there. And like I said, let's get it.
Tony, we have to talk about this division because the NFC West, one of the most competitive divisions in the league. And you got some really good QBs that you're going to have to try and shut down. We're talking Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, Matthew Stafford. As you think about that list, does that fire you up ahead of the season?
Oh, yeah. As a secondary player, you look at the NFC West, you see the quarterbacks and the new addition of Matthew Stafford. I love Matthew Stafford. I've got to play against him a few times throughout my career, and then Kyler Murray and, of course, Russell Wilson. The ball's going to be in the air, and with the ball being in the air, that just means more opportunities. And, I think, with the front we have and then the scheme we got, I think it's going to give us ample opportunity to go make the plays. Ball is in the air, go get it. It's ours.
All right, that sounds exactly like how those guys were talking just a couple seasons ago before they got hit with that injury. But Tony Jefferson, we're so happy to have you here, have you back in action. We'll definitely be keeping a close eye as the 49ers get their training camp started just next week.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys.
All right, and Tony wasn't the only one who missed the 2020 season, be it by injury or otherwise. Here's a notable players that did not play in 2020. Of course, we had C.J. Mosley as one of the opt-outs, Dante Hightower. Injuries, we had Von Miller, Derwin James, and Andre Dillard, just to name a few. So, guys, come on in here. Which player who missed 2020 are you most excited to see back on the field this season, D. Hall?
Well, this is easy for me. I'm a DB guy. We just had Tony Jefferson on. He's a safety. I'm going with another safety, Derwin James. And he was automatic electric when he stepped on this football field in the National Football League. He made play after play for that Chargers football team. Now, he's going to be changing defense a little bit now. He's no longer in that Gus Bradley safety-friendly defense that's going to allow him to make plays. So I'm interested to see how Brandon Staley uses him. Ronaldo Hill, the new defensive coordinator, who's a former safety as well, better find a way to put that man right there around the football because he is a playmaker. He can cover great tight ends. He can go in there and cover slot receivers. This dude is most like Jalen Ramsey that I've seen to come into this league in a long time. And he's a safety, so that tells you something.
Yeah, D-Hall, I agree with you there. Derwin James is a baller, man. He just has to stay healthy, ball hawk. you know, he's going to find his way around the football. But for me, I'm going to go with Dante Hightower, right? I think Bill Belichick is so ecstatic that this guy's back on the football field. You look at his 2019 stats, 5.5 sacks, over 70 tackles, and he made a Pro Bowl. That force in the middle of that defense, being able to blitz from the second level, being able to be a run stopper from the second level, okay? And then I think he just brings a little street credibility to you, to the defense, because when he hits you, you know you've been hit by a powerful linebacker. You know what I'm saying? So